Today's conversation will be surrounding finding your joy through the 10-day challenges. The series will be held until 8:30 tonight, a pretty sharp deadline because we want to be conscious of y'all's time. We understand this is a Tuesday afternoon. And right, this is a Smart Start Village, so we want to grow families together. And again, welcome to our free weekly online learning series.
Nope, here we go. Oops, I pressed the wrong button. There we go.
It happens. In this slide, you'll see our brief agenda for today's conversation. We'll just do a brief welcome, right? We'll talk about who the hosts are, about the guest, some of the content from the speaker to understand sort of credibility, where she's coming from, who she is, a Q&A, so there'll be an opportunity for each and every one of you to ask a question. Feel comfortable to put that into the chat as well if you don't feel comfortable taking your microphone off. That's a great alternative as well. We are going to ask that we keep question and answers towards the end of the presentation, but Stevie and I will both be conscious of the chat and make sure that your questions are answered. After that, we'll turn into a brief survey and raffle where you'll have an opportunity to answer an anonymous survey and in return be able to be put into a raffle. Second to last, we'll talk about a prize handout, and third but not least, we'll talk about what's next and what you can see in the next coming weeks. So again, thank you all. My name is Mariana Poor. I am a coordinator with the Foundation for Healthy Communities. You can see our logo on the handout or flyer. I work alongside a program called New Hampshire Navigator, where you are your free, non-biased experts for enrolling in New Hampshire Medicaid and the ACA marketplace. So what does that mean, right? Free meaning we do not ask people to give us reimbursement for helping them through the enrollment process, and non-biased means that we are not similar to agents and brokers. We have to remain conscious and really provide free, non-biased advice. I just like to call out to attention in New Hampshire, our open enrollment runs from November 1st till January 15th. And in order to get a plan starting January 1st, you need to enroll by December 15th. And last but not least, if you do require some support or just have a quick question that you'd like to ask, we're always here to answer your questions. Feel free to book your free confidential appointment either by phone or virtually with a trained navigator at that number, as well as that website as well. And at this point, I am going to turn it over to Miss Stevie Klein, Smart Start Coalition contributor.
Hi, everyone. Just introducing Smart Start. So we are an early childhood coalition. We're located in southern New Hampshire. We serve the 13 towns in Greater Nashua, and our whole motto is working together to ensure that every child has the best possible start to life. So whether that is providers or parents themselves, we want to come together and support our community in order to provide the best environment for our children. So some of the things that we have going on are free postpartum groups. We have an annual baby shower. We have welcome baby bags. And then we support a couple of parent groups, and some of them put on play groups and other events. And I'm so happy that you are all here. Thank you for joining us, and I'll pass it back over to Mariana.
Thank you, Miss Stevie. I can't say enough good things about the Smart Start Coalition, so we are definitely lucky to be contributors and also be able to understand this presentation. So moving on, I am going to introduce our wonderful guest speaker. Her name is Krissy Bold. You can see on the left is her podcast as well as her social media accounts. And if I may, I'm just going to introduce her just slightly. Miss Krissy Bold is a mom of 2 young boys, a former teacher, and the host of the top podcast, Mom's Guide to Finding Herself. Through the podcast and her business, Mom Identity Project, Krissy teaches moms to find new passions and embrace new opportunities through realistic, small steps that can actually be used in the chaos of parenting. At Mom Identity Project for quick tips and relatable content, and visit momidentityproject.com to learn how you can work with Krissy to reconnect or start a side hustle that you can fit in during nap time or snack breaks.
Great. Well, hi, everyone. Thank you so much. Thanks, Mariana, and thanks, Stevie, for having me and for that beautiful introduction. If you have any questions while I'm talking, feel free to put them in the chat. I just probably won't get to them until the end during the Q&A, but I know what it's like to have a question and then you lose it. So feel free to throw it in. I'm Krissy. I am a stay-at-home mom of two young boys. Right now, their age is 4.5 and almost 3, which is wild. I feel like every age I say that anytime we get closer to another milestone, it's just amazing. So if you hear them screaming in the background, that's why this is real life. And here we are. Like many moms, I hit a wall of burnout and lost track of who I was outside of mom. And now I'm working to help moms reconnect with themselves, one small, like doable step at a time, because I feel like so often we hear steps that just are like, okay, but how and when? Like they just don't make sense for our real lives. So I'm living it, I'm doing it, and I've done it. I've crawled out of the burnout, and now I'm here to show you why. I used to lay in bed and truly say to myself, after I had my second baby, things got rocky for me. Like I woke up out of my postpartum fog with my first baby and I got pregnant pretty much right away. So I didn't have any opportunity to like think about myself then. It was just from one baby to the next. But with the second baby, around that 9-month mark, for me, it happens differently for every mom, but I woke up and I was like, I don't know who I am anymore. I'm no longer in survival mode. I'm no longer just living and breathing for this baby. I am living for myself now too, but I don't know what that means. I would literally lay in bed and think, I don't feel like a person anymore. I don't feel like my wants and needs matter. I say this all the time. I feel like a broken record, but I really truly felt like a background character in everybody else's life. And I had to find a way out. I had to figure out where I was because it wasn't just me anymore. It was my kids. And I knew that if I stayed there, they were going to be affected. My husband was going to be affected. They were affected. So I just had to figure out a way to break out of that. So I'm wondering if this sounds familiar to you. Between the kids, the meals, the laundry, trying to be everything for everyone, it's no wonder that so many of us feel like we've lost ourselves. These aren't signs that we've failed. They're not failure signs. They're signs of matrescence, which I'll talk about in a little bit. It's the massive identity shift that every single mom goes through. Whether or not you feel exactly this way or not, it's bigger than that. So, what we're going to talk about today is we're going to talk about what matrescence really is and why it feels so disorienting, why self care misses the mark, how many, or, and then how small 10-day challenges can help you to reconnect with yourself. So, what is matrescence? Matrescence is the process of becoming a mother, not just physically, but emotionally and mentally and socially. It's as powerful and complex as adolescence. It's a transformation of your identity. It's that same process when you became an adolescent. It's a huge hormonal, chemical, and physical change that changes everything about you, your brain, your body, all of it. No one warns us about it. We all hear all the time about adolescence. We know that's going to happen to us. There are so many books. I mean, raise your hand if you read the American Girl doll book about adolescence and puberty, right? Exactly. But we never got that book about how that same exact shift happens in motherhood. And what's funny, what's different about it is we're not going through it at the same time as our friends, most likely. In adolescence, everybody went through it around the same time period, maybe not at the exact moment, but it was happening together. It was like a cultural shift. But in motherhood, you're doing it alone, and it feels weird. No one warns us that it's going to happen and that we'll need to rebuild our sense of self after that, not just our routines. It's backed by research and science. This is not just something that I'm making up. This is not just something that they say, like that's common, but it's not normal. No, this is not just common. It is so normal that it is something that we should expect and could prepare for if we talked about it more. So here's why it feels like you've lost yourself. During that matrescence, everybody changes your body, your priorities, your friendships, your sense of purpose. And you start living in this constant service of others. And slowly, your wants and your needs and your personality get buried under all of that. So, what happens if this continues? You lose your energy, but you also lose your sense of self. You start to resent people that you love and the people that you love the most. Not because you don't care about them, but because you've been running on fumes and you don't know how to get yourself back to it. And you see them living what you think are normal lives. And you say, why can't I do that too? So here's some of the signs that you're in the thick of it. You don't recognize yourself in the mirror, not just physically. I don't mean that. You feel guilty doing anything that's just for you. You can't remember what you enjoy anymore. You love those kids so deep that it hurts, but you miss your own company. You love your family deeply, but somewhere along the way, you disappeared. You're always needed, always giving. But when was the last time someone asked how you were doing and then actually waited for a real answer that wasn't just about the kids? You're so tired that you don't finish your thoughts, let alone finish like a book that you started 6 months ago. You're running on empty, all of these things, the cold coffee, the mom guilt, the scrolling on Instagram, the hiding in the bathroom. It makes you start to feel like you're lazy and you're unmotivated or you are broken, but you're burnt out and you're not alone. So, this is a roadmap that I created about the phases we go through in our mom identity discovery process. I realize that rediscovering yourself as a mom is a journey. Wherever you are on this path, it's okay. You're not behind. You're getting started and you're going to go through the whole process, whether you like it or not. It's going to happen. You're not stuck. So I want you to take a look at these and think where you might be. And if you recognize yourself right away, go ahead and drop that number in the chat. And I'm going to go through each of these steps, each of these phases a little more in depth right now. So when you feel like you're like, yep, that's me, go ahead and put your number in the chat unless you've already recognized who you are. So Lauren knows you are in it. So the first step is like kind of before you go through it. You're in survival mode. Your clothes are stretchy, your coffee's cold, and your brain is fried. And truly, your only goal is to keep everyone alive. It's barely even to brush your teeth. Identity feels like a luxury for later, and it is. The goal here isn't to thrive, it is to survive guilt free. Like you're going through it, and that's okay. You probably don't even care about your interests at that point. Now, step one, you're lost in the fog. The baby stage starts easing up, but something else sets in, that emptiness. You start to wonder if this is just how it is now. You're grateful, but you're also a little lost, and it feels like you're failing. But it's not that. It's a signal that you're ready to start this discovery process. So this is where we go into this path of discovery. You start following some of those small sparks of curiosity. Maybe it's a hobby, maybe it's just listening to a podcast, maybe it's taking a walk without your phone, but you start taking these small steps to follow these sparks of curiosity. It's tentative. You're not really sure if this is like something you like doing, but it's yours. And that's where your identity begins to rebuild. I mean, it could truly be as simple as like listening to the 90s bops that Coles is playing nonstop while your kid is like playing with a toy. Like it doesn't have to be anything fancy. Step three, we're going to start gaining some clarity. You start to realize what's actually lighting you up. You start connecting those dots between the interests that you have and who you want to be. You can start to see that version of yourself that you've been missing. It's starting to poke through, it's starting to crackle. Step four, you start experimenting and you start to grow. You try new things and you drop what doesn't fit. You keep what does fit and you keep doing what feels good. And you start saying yes to the things that energize you and no to the things that drain you. You don't want to go back to your old self. That's not the goal here. The goal is to evolve into the next version of yourself. Just like when you became a teenager, you were no longer playing with the dollhouse anymore. You left that behind. You didn't even want to go back. And then most likely you went into your 20s after becoming a teen, after being in your teens, and you left some of those interests behind. You might not have played the clarinet anymore. That might not have been your whole personality anymore. You drop some of those interests and you don't even look back. You're not even interested in going back. And then we've got some new identities. Step 5. This is me. You figured out who you are. You figured out when you go out to coffee with a friend and they say, "What have you been up to lately?" You have some real answers that don't involve the kids. And that's the goal that we're going to get to. That doesn't mean that you have it all together. That doesn't mean that you don't still reheat your coffee 4 times and forget your appointments and show up like calling them saying, "I'm so sorry, I forgot it was Tuesday." We're not like saying that. We're saying you now have things that are filling you up on the outside of it, that feel like you've got something to look forward to while your kid's throwing a fit and you can't see outside of it. You can put yourself in a happy place where you know that later on you're going to be able to work on the thing that you love. But what happens when we get stuck? Because that's what we're at right now. That's where we start to slide into burnout. If you get stuck in your phase, we're not just talking about this is just mom life anymore. This is burnout, and it's costing you your joy. It's costing you your energy and your identity. And it doesn't mean you're lazy. It doesn't mean you're broken. It doesn't mean you're ungrateful, because that's what we're all worried about. We're all worried that it means we're ungrateful for our life, but you're burnt out. You got to ask yourself when you're feeling burnt out, when was the last time that you felt most like yourself? And if that's something you're feeling right now, I want you to have that question in your head. When was the last time you felt most like yourself? What were you doing? What were you experiencing? What felt good? And when you have a minute, write it down. The first thing that comes to mind, don't overthink it. It could have been years and years and years ago. It could have been a couple days ago. And maybe it didn't stick. Just because you had a good day, just because you had a good moment, doesn't mean you're in a good place, and that's okay. But I want you to recognize those glimmers, recognize those moments that started to bring you joy, and write those down, because those are sparks. Those are things that we need to start paying attention to. And we hear a lot when we're in these moments about self-care. I don't know about you, but when I feel like I open up to people from another generation about how I'm feeling, they'll say things like, "Well, you need to take care of yourself. It's important." Thanks. Or they'll say, like, "You need to have date nights. You need to prioritize yourself. You need to do things." And it's like, well, how? Like, are you offering to watch the kids? Are you offering to? No, no, there's just a lot of like, take care of yourself. And most of that advice involves taking a bubble bath or going to get a pedicure. And that's nice, but that's not necessarily what we need. We need reconnection, not to escape. A lot of those self-care things are escape. They're not that reconnection. They're getting you out of like the water if you're drowning, but they're not the lifeboat that's going to keep you out of the water. The antidote to burnout is purpose, not perfection. We're looking for a purpose. There are some universal points of frustration that we go through. You're not alone. So many moms are quietly struggling with the same thoughts. I talk to hundreds of moms who have all felt these same things. I've had thousands of moms. I've had 10,000 downloads on this podcast in less than 7 months of moms who are feeling the exact same way. But what if I told you there's a way to start small? So small that it's actually doable. If you say, "I just need 10 minutes," and no one hears you, we need to reframe that. You try to do something for yourself and you feel instantly guilty. There's another point that we need to reframe. You've tried self-care routines, but nothing sticks because it's all too much. You're aware that you want more, but the how of it all feels overwhelming. Like, how am I even going to do that? You crave that spark that I'm talking about, but not like a fire that burns you out even more. We're not looking for that either. You're stuck in the "I should do something for me" loop. But what, right? It's just a loop going around. And that's where this process comes in. That's where these 10-day challenges come in. Reconnection comes from consistent, meaningful moments, not big gestures. It's this idea of 10-day challenges was born from realistic, repeatable moments that rebuild who you are. So here we are. This is where we flip the script. This is where we take everything that was frustrating and where we are and all those sparks and make them become something. You don't need a week-long retreat. You don't need a weekend away. You need these tiny wins that build momentum. And that's why I created the system, because you need something that you can come back to. A 10-day challenge is about giving yourself permission to start small, start something that is just for you. not to master it, not to turn it into like a side hustle or a business, just to remember what lights you up and carve out space for you in all of the chaos that you're going through in your life. It's small on purpose. It fits into your life without adding to the stress because we don't have space for that. We don't have space for another chore. They are short, intentional experiments. They're long enough to build momentum, short enough to stay realistic. They're a chance to explore what lights you up without a long term commitment. They're designed to gently push you out of the comfort zone in the best possible way. And it's a low stakes way to check in with yourself with what you need. 10 days is just the right amount of time. It bypasses that all or nothing thinking that keeps us stuck. You don't have to commit to something forever. If this was a 30-day challenge and something happened on day 4, chances are you would say, well, there goes the month. I'm done. I'm not going back to it. But on 10 days, you only have to make it till next Wednesday, whatever the thing is. So you can jump right back into it. They're long enough to actually make a difference. They're long enough to see if at the end of this challenge, if this is something you want to keep in your life or if it's something you want to drop. And they're focused enough to fit into your real life and simple enough to start today. Here's why it works. Burnout comes from constantly giving without ever receiving, not even from ourselves. These challenges break that cycle. You don't have to do it perfectly. You just have to show up and set a goal. Set a goal and show up for yourself. Because that burnout is thriving on your decision fatigue. It is thriving on your disconnection and your lack of novelty and how routine your days get. So you need to flip it. Now, here's how it works. Right now, if you've been thinking about that one spark, that one thing that maybe you feel a little more alive, or maybe you haven't been thinking about something, try to think of something right now. One thing that you've been putting off. Maybe it's reading a book. Maybe it's drinking your coffee while it's hot, or journaling, or moving your body. Moving your body is a really great place to start, like taking a walk, something like that. That's it. That's your first challenge for 10 days. Pick something small, do it for 10 minutes, repeat it for 10 days. Try it, reflect on it, keep it, or release it. If you read that book for 10 minutes a day, and you couldn't get your brain to slow down enough to actually read the words, and maybe you are still on page 5 at the end of the 10 days, then reading probably isn't your thing right now. That's okay. Move on, let it go. No judgment here, because another thing that we see a lot of is the self-judgment that comes in when your values don't stick, when your values aren't the same. So maybe you were a big reader, or maybe you were an athlete, and you were the kind of person that was like, when people were like, oh, I don't have time to exercise. How do you exercise so much? And you were like, well, because I just do it. Everybody does. You just have to prioritize it. Those people, you know what I'm talking about. The people who exercise all the time, they're like, you just have to make room. You just have to make it happen. And maybe you were that person before. And now all of a sudden, the idea of going on a 5-mile run sounds like torture. And you're like, this can't be true. I was a long distance runner my whole life. It's okay that your life is no longer that your priority is no longer that you're not interested in this thing anymore. You're moving on. Remember, you're not playing with Barbies anymore. You're not playing the clarinet every week anymore, or every day or every hour. I don't know. But you've moved on from those interests. You're just growing and evolving and changing, and you're becoming somebody new. The goal is to find what you are interested in now. And it's also important to note that that's not forever either. So maybe reading isn't your thing right now. Try it again in a few months. Try it again in a year. Everything is a phase. This is not finding the end of a tunnel, because we are going to change again. Let's redefine that self-care that we talked about. It's not those bubble baths. It's not the boundary, or it's not the bubble baths. It is the boundaries. It is play and micro moments that remind you of who you are. One thing that we've lost in motherhood, or as in adulthood really, is play and being silly. It's not about adding more. It's about doing less, but more intentionally. The 10-day format gives you structure and accountability and freedom to reconnect with who you actually are. So we're looking here to go from identity to burnout, which you probably already have done. We're not actually looking to go to burnout, but that's probably what's happened. And then you're going to go to this 10-day challenge. And then through the 10-day challenge, you're going to start reconnecting with yourself. You're going to start identifying those pieces. So this presentation was about you. It's about remembering that there's more waiting for you without needing this massive life overhaul, without needing a new system, without needing something different. We go through those 5 phases. We're all going to go through them in one way or another. You lost yourself, or you maybe feel like you lost yourself because of science, not because of something you did wrong. Self-care truly isn't enough, and that's why it doesn't feel like it. But these 10-day challenges can start to help you build out or dig out of it. So where do you go from here? Now, oh, this slide is wrong. I don't have that for you right now. Where do you go from here? There we go. You don't need to do this alone or even figure it out by yourself. So I have created what I call the Mom Identity Starter Kit. I'm doing 3 short workshops. Find your thing, find the time, make it happen. They're the 3 problems that I hear a lot from moms. I don't know even what to do anymore. I don't know where to start. Like you go out to the Michaels and you look around, you're like, I want to do one of these crafts, but I'm not really sure what. Or you want something that feels like you, but you don't know where to go with that. That's where you start for that. Maybe you have a thing already and you don't know how to fit it into your life. I have a find the time workshop that I'm developing. And maybe you figured out how to fit it into your day, but you don't know how to make it happen. You don't know how to make those action steps. You have that DIY craft kit that's sitting there in the box that you haven't opened, but you're not really sure how to make it happen in your life. This is what the workshop for you. So I've got these 3 different workshops. Find your thing, find the time, make it happen, that I've put together in this like pretty little bundle, the identity starter kit. You can go into each individual one. I'm almost done making them. I was wanting to have them done before today, but I didn't. I just keep adding more. I like can't stop myself. I've like built in more things. Like yesterday I put in a list of 100 hobbies that cost nothing that moms might want to do. So I just keep packing it with more things. So each of them is going to cost $7 a piece. Or you can do the whole bundle for 17. So I wanted it to be less than a whole like cup of coffee or that DIY starter kit, or that DIY craft kit for you. So that's my starter kit that I'm putting together, that I think is going to be really packed with value to help you get started. My goal here isn't to make money. It's to continue to make things like my podcast that I need some funding for to get that through. I want to be able to continue to put out this free content for you. So that's why those cost just $7 and $17, because they're not packed with amazing value. So if you want to stay inspired, I have my Mom Moment memo, which is a free email memo that drops one small story, a reflection, a 5-minute idea, something to help you slow down and reconnect with yourself. They're not daily, they're not once a week, they're kind of sporadic throughout the week, and it's less than 3 minutes to read. They're inspiration right when you need it within those 3 minutes of time. They're stories from my real life as a mom and the lessons that I'm taking away, so that way you can see without having to wait a week for a podcast episode that you've got somebody on your side and you've got somebody that knows what you're going through too. And then, oh, that slide is old too. Oh, yeah, no, you are more than a challenge. You're not broken. This isn't about becoming someone new. It's about remembering who you've always been and letting her breathe again. 10 minutes a day, 10 days, one big, powerful move for yourself. If you've been waiting for a sign to start something for yourself, this is it. If we're not already connected, I would love to be part of your world. I put out free content to help you get through this big shift every day. momidentityproject.com. I'm on pretty much every social media channel at Mom Identity Project. And then my podcast, you can find anywhere that you find podcasts and YouTube it's called Mom's Guide to Finding Yourself. And that went a lot faster. I talk too fast is my problem. I'm used to doing 10-minute podcasts for people. I'm used to trying to put in as much as I can into 10 minutes. So we got Q&A.
I think each and every one of us to some extent can understand and empathize with that as well. And don't let me speak on behalf of the whole group, Krissy, but that was wonderful. So thank you for sharing. That was wonderful. At the moment, we do not have any questions in the chat. If anyone is looking to have a question answered and would like to unmute themselves, please feel free. I'm gonna leave about 10 seconds. Stevie?
Yeah, hi. Matroness matronance.
Matrescence. It's like
Matr-
adolescence, but like, right?
Why do you think it's not talked about enough? And it's so
Mm,
interesting because Mariana and I were just talking about this right beforehand, I feel like too. And why is this not talked about enough? And the very little that I know is it was developed in like the 80s or something. So
hmm
it's a term that was
Yeah.
coined quite a while ago. And I didn't learn about it till about a year ago. So a year after I had my baby and all of
Mm,
that. So I don't know, through talking with other parents or connecting with other moms or just your own research, like why do
mhm.
you think that is?
Yeah. It's so fascinating. So to hear you say it was developed in the 80s, which was quite a long time ago, is funny. To hear it's like 'cause in research terms, that's still super recent, right? So think about anything having to do with women's health and women's mental health. It's all fairly new research. We haven't dove into it. And with all research, the funding just isn't necessarily there. So this is something that is developing and becoming because more women are in the space, are in positions of power to start making choices on where we put our funding and our resources for research. So I don't think it is very well researched at all. We just kind of know it exists. We've coined a term and we look through it. I mean, the common sense, when you think like it's there, we know that our brains change. We know that our hormone levels change dramatically just as through adolescence. So like it clicks, it makes sense. But I think part of it starts at the doctor's office. We don't hear about it in our OB pre-checks. It's just we have, what I feel like my OB appointments were like 3 minutes long max, where it was like, okay, let's measure your belly, everything normal. And you'd be like, no, actually, it's not. And they're like, nope, that's normal. Okay, bye. Call us if you have any issues. So there's like no room to talk about mental health and the mental health changes that you're going to go through. And in prenatal classes, it's all about how to get that baby out, right? It's all about preparing for the actual birth. There's very little we even do prenatally to prepare for the actual human that you're going to have. We don't get education on feeding and diapering and all of those other things like we should. So the mental health aspect of it is bottom of the barrel. We just don't talk about it. I think another piece of the puzzle here is we forget. Like we're designed to forget. We go through a lot in motherhood that people from a different generation have completely forgotten that they went through this. And they had different levels of support and expectations at that point. And our friends, there's a lot of shame around it. If we don't think that it's normal and you experience this, then you don't necessarily talk about it. There's been a lot of, I don't want to say that this is true for everybody because it's not, but many cases of anxiety, postpartum anxiety and depression are misdiagnosed because they were just identity crises. Um, and that's not to dismiss anybody's anxiety or depression that you might have had. It's real, but there's also this piece to it as well. So it's so complicated, but it's wrapped in a lot of shame and it's wrapped in a lot of bureaucratics, as we all know.
Those are wonderful questions, Stevie.
Thank you.
Um, Another question. We mentioned how you may be able to prepare for this prior to being pregnant. So, what steps would you suggest an individual to take to sort of start this identity search while
Just
in that?
awareness,
Yeah.
awareness that it's going to happen because it makes it easier. Like, there's nothing you can do to think, well, what am I going to be interested in later? Like, think about when you're 50, starting to prepare for what you might want to do then. That's not going to happen. But what we do know is that when we're in our 50s or 70s or whatever, we're going to be interested in different things. What we don't expect is that when we're 25 or when we're 32 or when we're 40, all of a sudden you're interested in different things and you don't like those things anymore. And that's scary. So just having a level of awareness is huge because when you experience that, it's not all of a sudden like, what the heck is happening to me? Like I'm like I've I'm ruined, I'm gone, I'm missing. You're like, nope, this is another just transition that I knew I was going to go through and expecting. And having a plan for how you're going to then, with your busy life, find other interests and how you're going to fit it in would be like the next level.
Thank you.
Yeah, of
And
course.
we have, yeah, thank you. I see Lauren nodding her head back. Yeah. So we have two questions. One, and that one that was previously submitted. What are we doing to find our joy when life gets hard for a long period of time? I'll take
Mm,
all the advice on how to lighten the mental load.
yeah. Um, Two different things. So finding your joy when life gets hard. Number one, go back to being silly. If any time you're going through something, life is hard and you're not really sure which way is up. Like I remember very vividly after I had kids, I went to a party, one of my friend's 40th birthday parties. It was the first time I had gone out without my kids. And I was laughing and I surprised myself. I didn't recognize my laugh. And I was like, holy crap, I'm funny. I used to be really funny. And I didn't know that anymore. So that was a big turning point for me of I need to just be funny more. So I have a list. It's on my website. It's free. It's called what is it called? Um, Something about joy. Find Your Joy, 10 Days of Joy Challenge. It's the daily doses of joy. I think that's what it's called. It's on my freebies on my website. And it's a bingo card of like the silliest things you can imagine. And you just have to truly force yourself to start it. You have to like it feels dumb. It feels ridiculous. One of the things on it is like start talking in an accent or like start naming your refrigerator and like talking about that thing with its name now. Like really ridiculous kid things. But when you start forcing yourself to do that, your kid starts to laugh, you start to laugh. It does truly like build in yourself and feel good. So, starting with silly. Now, the mental load, that's a whole different topic. I've got some great books and podcast episodes that I can recommend you to because that is like I could do a whole other presentation on the mental load. Um, because there's so much to it, right? It's not just the things that we actually have to prepare for, like school lunches or packing the snack bag, the physical tasks. It's also like the mental and emotional tasks, right? You're planning for things in the future, but you're also remembering like everybody's favorite foods or this particular activity sets so and so off. So I can't do that without doing all kinds of preparation ahead of time. It's so layered. Um, so yeah, the mental load is hard, but what we don't want is your joy to add to the mental load. So to kind of tie that together, you don't want your thing, whatever that is, to then become a chore, to become a list, to become a thing that you have to check off. It needs to become a thing that lightens your mental load because it's relief. It doesn't have to be something you do alone. It doesn't have to be something that you do. It's not like me time. Me time and your thing are two different things. You can do this with your kids. You can walk around and go for walks around your neighborhood or go for hikes and bring your kids. Like I said, it could truly be just going to Kohl's and walking around. So we don't want it to add to your mental load. You need it to be the relief.
Wonderful. And we have one more. Um, I feel a constant pull between the enjoy it now and the wishing for an easier future when I can do the things I want to do again. I don't know what to think because society tells me so different things. Is there a mindset shift that can help that?
Yeah. Yeah. And you said you were one, so you've got a baby, right? Like a little baby. Um,
Sorry,
enjoying, yeah.
yes, I have a 4 and a 1.
4 and a 1. Ooh, yeah, you're in it. You're in it. I get it. I had two under two. It's like ridiculous when you have those little ones with a bigger one. It's nuts. Yeah, the constant pull to enjoy it now and wish for that. It's nuts. I think the best way for me to do that with my kids has been to just find the things I can enjoy with them and enjoy and find my space with them. So like yes, I have my own me time things. I have the things for me, but I have two boys and my boys wrestle with my husband. So for me, when my husband gets home from work, I don't even want to witness that. I don't want to be a part of that, because what I end up doing is going, stop, you're hurting him. Like he's gonna die. And like, he's not. My husband loves those kids more than life itself. He's not going to hurt them. So I give them their time. And that's how that's how I do my podcast and my things like that. And I also think a mindset shift here is, if you have a partner that is supportive and can watch your kids, can be with their own children. The mindset shift there is, they deserve a one-on-one relationship with their children just as much as you do. So you're not taking something away from them by not having family time all the time, because they deserve to have that one-on-one relationship with their father just as much as they deserve to have a one-on-one relationship with you. So I think that's one part of it. But society does tell us so many different things. It tells us that we should be doing like the pedicures, but also we should never abandon our children. Um, I think one thing we need to start redefining is mom guilt. Mom, and I might be off on my interpretation of what you're asking here, so please feel free to jump in. But redefining what mom guilt is, makes a big difference. It's not guilt. Guilt is when you've done something wrong, and you feel guilty about it. You're not doing anything wrong. You're feeling lots of real emotions. You're feeling sadness, maybe from being away from your babies. You're feeling FOMO, like you're missing out on something, but you're not feeling guilt. And even though people call it mom guilt, redefining it for what the emotion actually is can really be helpful. Um, yeah, it's all the guilt. So I find that is huge when you just even stop saying the word guilt to yourself. Like I'm going to do an episode on this in November because I think it's huge right now. We have to talk about this. When you stop saying guilt, you're telling yourself you're not doing anything wrong. When you use the word guilt, I'm feeling mom guilt, you are reinforcing the fact that you're doing something that's wrong. So put different words to it. I'm feeling sad because I miss my kids right now. I'm feeling like I'm missing out on something and I'm worried. Maybe it's worry. I'm worried something's going to happen to my kids without them. I'm worried that they're going to experience something that I'm not experiencing. And then you can move on in a different way. That's just a whole different mind. That's a whole different set of emotions to deal with. Guilt, you can't break out of. Like if you hurt somebody and you feel guilty, you're probably going to feel guilty for the rest of your life, and you should, because you did something wrong, right? Until you get their forgiveness or their apology. But when you're asking your children to forgive you for going to the grocery store by yourself, like, that's not really the same thing. It's also starting to take baby steps. Like if it's leaving them, going to fill up the gas tank and then coming right back, going to the Dunkin' Donuts drive-through and then coming right back. So teeny tiny little things can start to add up. Feel free to unmute if you want to make this more of a conversation too, if you have more.
I think it's mostly just like hearing so much, and maybe I'm on social media too much and I see all these, different messages, but it's like, oh, they're only going to be young once. You should enjoy every moment and not complain and this and that. And then I find myself being like, I can't wait until they're older when things are easier. And I know there'll be different challenges when things are easier, when I can do the things I want to do again, when I can feel like me again. So I feel this constant guilt that I am like wishing time away
Yeah.
instead of enjoying the moment. But the moment is hard. And it's hard to
Yeah.
enjoy some of those hard moments. And it's not all hard, but I think it's like that mostly. But I'm not sure what I would identify that instead of guilt. I'm not sure what I would identify it as yet, but I'll think about it.
Yeah. It's easier to think about when you're in it,
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
then you're actually experiencing it than trying to, like, because we forget quickly, like
Because
what that actually
if
felt
I
like.
go out and do something by myself,
Yeah.
I'm doing it as fast as I can. I'm
Yeah.
rushing to get back because
Yeah.
I feel like, I don't know, I feel something
You
about
feel
it.
something. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
So that's a great question to ask yourself while you're there. You're like, why am I rushing right now? What am I trying to accomplish? And that, even just asking yourself that question in the moment, what am I
Mhm.
really feeling right now? That might be the solution for you for
Yeah.
that. But the other piece, I'm so glad you unmuted and clarified, because it's it's vulnerable. It's hard. we know that it's okay to admit that mom life's hard. Nobody says that otherwise. And I hear what you're saying. Um, it's the wishing time away part that I completely understand. It's like I cry sometimes just because I know my kids are going to get older. Like, you just like sit and you're like sobbing in bed because someday they're going to be 14. Like it's stupid. But it happens. And like sometimes I'll look back on pictures of my kids playing with just my husband and I'll cry because I'm like, I should have been there. And that's when our brain starts to be the middle school girl that's being mean to ourselves and telling us stuff because our brains, for some reason, default to being mean to ourselves and telling us that we're wrong. Like that's just how it goes. We're horribly wired as humans, not as like moms or adults or as women. We need to start redefining we need to start retraining our brains to see the right things. We need to be our own lawyers and go to the court, go stand up in front of our brain and say, nope, I didn't miss out on anything because look at all these pictures that I took with my kid. Like I might not be in them, but I witnessed that. I was a part of it. I was at swim lessons a couple weeks ago and my husband was with my 4-year-old in the pool and my 2-year-old was throwing a fit and he wouldn't go in the pool. He wouldn't even put on his bathing suit. So I sat at the edge of the pool and I watched the two of them like splashing around, having fun and laughing. And I was thinking to myself, I'm missing this because like this kid's being a brat. I'm like, I'm not missing a thing. I'm watching this. I'm here. I'm a part of this. I'm not at the pool, but I'm not missing a thing. Um, so we do have to start telling our brains that we're wrong, that it's telling us something, that it's sabotaging us. And then another piece of it, because there were multiple layers of what you said. Um, we're missing time away because we want when it's easier, when there's time to ourselves, when all those things. We have to start building in and redefining that in our own life as it fits now. Otherwise, you do wish that time away and you start to get then the next layer is to get resentful. You start like saying, oh, when things get easier, and then when it doesn't get easier, because we know it doesn't, deep down, we know it doesn't. Even though like, yeah, they're not going to die because they fall off the kitchen counter anymore. It's different. You start to resent the people that like that you see on social media that like maybe their mom watches their kid every week so they can go to this special thing, or maybe like your husband now goes golfing or whatever that thing is, and you start to feel resentment, and that starts to get bigger and bigger and bigger. So you owe it to yourself now to try to think, how can I meet this desire? How can I fill this gap now as it is, as my life is? Where does it fit within it all now? And that's the goal. That's what we need to start to figure out. Um, the 10-day challenges can be part of that. It can be saying to yourself, starting tomorrow, I'm going to spend 10 minutes a day for 10 days doing X, whatever that is. And then if you really like it, the cool thing about it is at the end of the 10 days, or maybe in the 10 days, if this is something that you enjoy. For me, one of those things was walking every day. I didn't keep doing that. One of my things was reading every day. I started a book club. I no longer do that. I left that behind. But for that moment of period of my life, I had a book club that was going. And it was no longer just, I have to find the 10 minutes. It was like, I get to have 10 minutes to do this. And maybe I can find 15. Maybe I can do that. And you start to find like the pockets of time. It's like when you were a kid and you played Barbies, and like every single like second you had, you would go back to like that Barbie house. You'd be like, yes, I can just do this one little thing with them. That's kind of how it becomes. Like the kids are eating a snack and maybe your thing is something you can do on your phone. And you're like, yes, I can just do this really, really quick. Like maybe it's crosswords, maybe it's whatever. But you start to find the pockets of your time to fill it in, and then the purpose starts to build and it all kind of goes around it. I don't know if that brings any clarity, or if it still feels like a, what the heck is she talking about?
Thank you, Krissy. And we are going to give about a little longer. We have about 9 minutes left in today's event or online series. So we have a little bit, we have about 4 minutes left for questions and answers. If anyone would like to put anything else into the chat or take themselves off mute, either is perfect, but whatever makes you most comfortable. And again, Krissy, that was very helpful. And while I'm not a mom myself, I can only imagine the sort of relief that you can give a lot of people in the community. So right, on behalf of us, thank you. Thank you for being here.
And so many of us can relate to identity crisis
Yeah,
one way or another.
yeah.
One way or another.
The 25 thing, the 25-year-old one, that got me.
Yeah,
And
right.
that got me. I was like, yeah, she hit the nail right on the head there.
Yep.
It's certainly happening to some degree.
Yep.
Uh, to some degree. Wonderful.
Okay.
As we mentioned, and again, thank you all for being here. There'll be a brief survey. So if you could go ahead and scan or use the link that Stevie had put into the chat, both you could use to access the survey. The survey is anonymous, so if you are worried about sharing your identity, in the survey or your responses. It is anonymous, so please feel free to be as honest as you'd like. And when you complete the survey, you're going to be entered into a raffle for a free access to the Mom Identity Starter Kit and a free 60 one-on-one strategy and support session with our friend Krissy. And you will also get a 10-day thing challenge guide for free, which again is super helpful. And once you are done with that, if you could please put your email in the chat once you're done, that would be very helpful as well. So I will leave about a little bit for individuals to start that process. Again, thank you to those who have done so, thank you to those that are doing so, and thank you to those that will continue to do so. Just filling some empty space, right? Something's better than nothing. Something's
Thanks,
better than nothing.
Mariana.
Yeah, of
Um,
course.
we would really appreciate if you just take, it's literally a 1 minute survey, because we would love to continue doing these mini series, these pop-up series. I would love if they could somehow be New Hampshire statewide. So any feedback that you can provide, we would be grateful for. And after you submit the survey, you are gonna get a link to Chrissy's guide, and it is a guide. It's not a one-page handout. It is a guide. I took a peek at it, and it looks like we're going to end a couple minutes early. So I would really strongly suggest, if you blocked out the time, to start that handout as soon as possible too. I checked it out. It was really, really great. I had a quick question, Krissy, while
Yeah.
folks are completing the survey. You said a lot of moms are quietly struggling, and I
Mm.
completely agree. And maybe this ties into that the thing that you're hosting that I attended about making mom friends.
Yeah.
I see it all the time. I don't see moms struggling all the time, but I feel like it's again not talked about enough. Maybe back to my original question. But like, how can we as everyday moms bring up, you know, certain things? Um,
Mm.
too, because it's heartbreaking that, other moms are struggling, and sometimes they just need an ally, sometimes they just need someone to kind of see them.
Right.
So anything around what me, myself, a mom, can kind of do to connect with other moms, or kind of like just
Mhm.
let them know, like, I see you. Like, we're all in this together too. So anything around that really quickly.
Yeah, a lot of that involves bravery. So like if you see the mom at the mall who dropped a bottle or is like chasing their kid. So instead of just like giving them the look, being like, I know I'm in it. It's hard for me too. You're doing a great job. So, like, those kinds of things can be good starters to start the conversation. Being in Facebook groups or like participating in social media, if that's your kind of thing, that's good. But I feel like that's loaded. You enter, like Lauren said, like maybe we're on Facebook too much or maybe we're on social media too much. We see too many things. So, like, we go into a Facebook group to connect with people, but it's so like, it's 2025 and I think we're over it. We're over virtual connections. I mean, this is different. This is a virtual connection, but we're actually communicating. We're over like the message boards. We're over the comments. Um, so finding a group that you can be with one-on-one, like if you're local in Nashua, there's and you like to read, there's the Babies After Bedtime book group that meets, and they're really great. That's a great place to connect with new other moms. um, I started to do game nights. I did one game night for moms. Like maybe I should do more. I mean, as you're saying that, I'm like, maybe I need to start something, because we need a place where moms can just come and talk together in real life. And postpartum groups are wonderful if if you're postpartum, but so many of us, like, I think everybody that here is not eligible for necessarily for a postpartum group anymore, but we still need that connection. So, yeah, just talking to people in real life at the playground. I do have a free resource on my website that's called Make a Mom Friend in 7 Days. And it has a lot of scripts that you can use um, to actually just get that conversation going. So that's up on my website.
I think that's the one that I saw
Yeah.
before, yeah, and connected with you over. So as an introvert, I will challenge myself to try and do that. If you want to hit the next slide, I can go
Oh,
ahead
yeah.
and
Yeah.
wrap
Oh,
things.
game night, Lauren, sounds fun. Okay, maybe I need to make that happen again. Okay, I'll work on that. I'll figure
I
that out
think you
maybe.
should,
Yeah.
yes. Um, so please stay in touch. We have 3 more Tuesday night sessions coming up. The next one next week, same time, same link. It's going to be on baby wearing. And Jenna, who will be our guest speaker, has started a baby wearing resource library previously. So that's going to be great. So stay connected with us on social media, on Krissy's social media. And if you're in the greater Nashua area, we do have a free Fun Family event calendar too that we've linked a couple of times. So thank you all so much for being here. Thank you, Krissy, for giving up your Tuesday evening,
Oh
and
my
everyone
gosh.
else.
A joy.
Um, any last words, Krissy?
Yes, I can't believe I forgot to plug Little Hearts Playroom's mom nights out. Every month she does a mom's night out. I did a game night there one time, and it's usually something like a craft. Like one night we did we did flower arranging. Another night we did, you're, yeah, in Concord, so that would be a little far. Um, but yeah, check around. Look around on like your local play places and things like that, because a lot of them do mom's nights,
Or you may have to start one.
or you might have to start one.
Yeah, and if you're looking to start one, you can reach out to me over email and I will help you brainstorm and connect you where appropriate, and maybe pull Krissy in if we need
Yeah.
some game night ideas for up north or kind of anywhere else.
Yeah, I'm very happy to talk about. I mean, I've thrown several local events, and I'm very happy to talk about how to do that if that's something you're interested in doing, because yeah, that's the key, is just to do it. Just to bring the people together. If you build it, they will come, kind of thing.
Thank you, everyone. Have a great evening.
See y'all.